Good afternoon, fourth grade. Today we're going to finish our book, The Red Pyramid. So I need everyone to turn to the epilogue. Looks like this, and we're going to review what we learned from chapter 8. So get ready to fill in the blank. Sadie speaks his, that meaning Set's. Sadie speaks Set's secret name, Evil Day, and the red pyramid is destroyed. Then a red snake starts to take form in the sky. It is Apophis trying to cross over into the mortal world. Apophis promised to come back one day. Sadie made a deal with Set to release him if he promised to help. Let's see, that should say them. If he promised to help them and the House of Life later on. Then Sadie and Carter gave up their host, their hosts like their amulets, their host gods, that should say gods, and decided that they needed to teach more people about the ways of the I would say like the ways of the magicians. Alright, and then our focus, you can press pause to go back and fill in the blanks, or you can rewind it if there's one that you missed. Our focus question for today is, how is the story's conflict resolved, and what do the events in the text reveal about the central themes of the text? Alright, we have 3 vocabulary words. The first one is post-traumatic stress disorder, and that's a condition that you have in your brain after you've experienced a lot of like trauma, like maybe you're in shock, and it's really hard for you to sleep. You have a lot of anxiety because you're constantly thinking about that hard thing that you've been through. The next one is haggard. That's when you look exhausted because you're really tired or you're not feeling well. And then the third one is debris. That is just kind of like trash. All right. We're going to read the first couple of pages of the epilogue, and we're going to use our CSPS strategy while we do it. All right, and so the epilogue, we get this scene in New York City. And at the bottom it says, "We headed back to the mansion since we had nowhere else to go." All right, the top. "We had managed to save the world, but we couldn't help feeling a little defeated. The mansion was in a terrible state from being blown up, and we'd failed to save our dad. Carter lost his girlfriend, and Amos was suffering the effects of post-traumatic Set disorder. It took Sadie and I several weeks to make the house livable again. We used magic, but it was a lot harder without Isis and Horace to help. Amos was the worse for wear. He'd been taken over by Set, his will broken. I wonder if he'd ever be the same again. Most days he stared desolately into space. He lost too much weight. His face looked haggard. Most days he wore his bathrobe and didn't even bother to comb his hair. We stowed Isis's and Horace's amulets in the box in the library. Eventually, we got the walls and ceilings repaired and cleaned up the debris until the house no longer smelled like smoke. Every day, I went to sleep feeling as if I'd done 12 hours of hard labor." So we'll stop right there. We're going to describe our characters. Sadie and Carter helped clean up the mansion after it had been destroyed. And Amos was We could say he's depressed. Amos is depressed. Press pause to write down your answer and play when you're ready for a quote. And you can use this quote that said, "It took Sadie and I several weeks to make the house livable again." And this other quote about Amos. She wondered if he'd ever be the same again. Press pause to write down your quotes and play when you're ready for the setting. We know Carter, Sadie, and Amos are living in their mansion in New York. Press pause to write down your answer and play when you're ready for the quote. And you can use this quote right here on the first page. Press pause to write down the quote and play when you're ready for the problem. Turn the page. One morning we had a visitor. "Sadie, Carter, would you come with me, please?" "Annabus, what are you doing here?" "Someone wishes to see you." Annabus led us back to the Hall of Judgment. It had gotten a little makeover from the sad broken room we'd seen days before, and this time someone was sitting on the throne. Dad looked as if he always had, except... "Well, come on, I won't bite." Through the glimmer of the duat I could see his other form. "Ahmet, behave, these are my children." "You're blue." "Goes with the territory, I'm afraid." Top of the next page. "I brought you here to tell you how proud I am of both of you. The gods are very much in your debt." "But what are you? My dad? Osiris? Are you even alive?" "I am both Osiris and Julius Cain. I am alive and dead, though the term recycled is closer to the truth. Osiris is the god of the dead and the god of new life. To return him to his throne, you had to die. You knew this going into it. You intentionally hosted Osiris, knowing you would die. This is what you meant by making things right?" "Carter, when Osiris was alive, he was a great king, but when he died, he became 1,000 times more powerful. If there is chaos here in the duat, it reverberates in the upper world. Helping Osiris to his throne will bring order back to the duat. My duties here are more important than anything I could have done in the world above, except being your father, and I am still your father. There is another reason I made my choice, as you can probably guess." Okay, we'll stop right there for the problem. And this isn't really a big problem, but Sadie and Carter just found out that their dad will always, live in the duat. Their dad slash Osiris has claimed his throne in the duat, and they won't really ever see him again as their dad. Press pause to write down your answer and play when you're ready for the quote. And you can use this quote at the bottom of the page where he's explaining how his duties are important, but he's still their father. Right? And the other reason he did it is, turn the page. "Hello, children. Mom? Julius told me how much you'd grown, but I can't believe it." She looked a lot like Isis. "My amulet, the Tiet, did you really? Was that?" "Yes, my brave girl. My thoughts mix with yours. I'm so proud of you, and thanks to Isis, I feel like I know you as well." "And Carter, I'll bet you're shaving." "Mom, dating girls." "Mom." Have you ever noticed how parents can go from the most wonderful people in the world to totally embarrassing you in 3 seconds? For weeks, I'd been dreaming of being back with my parents, but not like this. My mom a spirit and my dad recycled? Still, they look weirdly happy, so I didn't complain. You've done Ma'at, a great favor, children. As we speak, Horus is no doubt reclaiming his birthright as king of the gods. The gods take their debt seriously. You can expect a gift upon your return from this hall. But first, something to take with you. It's called Djed, my symbol, the spirit of Osiris. It's a spine? Yuck. It is a bit yuck, but honestly, it's a powerful symbol. It stands for stability, strength. Djed also stands for the power of Osiris, renewed life from the ashes of death. This is exactly what you will need if you are to stir the blood of the pharaohs in order to rebuild the house of life. We'll meet again soon, children. Take care. Until then, be mindful of your enemies. And tell my brother that Egyptians believe in the power of the sunrise. They believe each morning brings not just a new day, but a new world. All right, and then they leave the hall, and Sadie tells Anubis, "We're not done, mister. I expect you to look after my parents, and next time I'm in the land of the dead, you and I will have words." I look forward to that. It's been stimulating. And then she blushes. All right, so when you think about how the problem was solved, Carter and Sadie's mom and dad are going to live in the Duat, but they gave Carter and Sadie the Djed so that they could continue to encourage the other, magicians, Egyptian magicians out in the world, to join them in their fight against Apophis. Press pause to write down the solution and play when you're ready for the quote. And you can use this quote from the top of the page. And then our paragraph says, how are the story's conflicts resolved? So you'll need to talk about how Set was defeated. You'll need to talk about how Julius and Ruby became Osiris and Isis, and what effect that has had on the Duat and the gods.